What's going on, guys? Welcome back. So yeah, we got another day out here in the carport, and I'm just going to continue along, busting out some more work on the 240. But I mean, look at this thing, guys. It's coming along. It's looking really complete. You know, we got the radiator, the intercooler, all the piping's done. Like I said, I in the last video, I still need to get a longer coupler here to sort of open up this gap a little bit before I can finish making the mounts for the intercooler. But yeah, today basically just gonna keep focusing on the engine bay, getting more stuff knocked out. Let's see how far we can get on this thing. So now that the radiator's in, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in this overflow tank. Okay. Got a couple more of these yellow zinc coated M6 by 10 bolts. So we got our overflow tank in. That was super easy, just a couple bolts. Connected it up to the radiator here. I could go underneath this. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I think that looks a little better. I don't know, it still looks kind of off, but I don't think there's anything I can really do about this. Anyways, moving on. I guess we can go ahead and throw in the power steering reservoir. Where did I put that thing? Oh, there it is. Just gonna go ahead and clean this off a little bit. Power steering reservoirs in. Another thing I can go ahead and do over here is start figuring out a solution for a lot of these holes that I have. A lot of people will pull out these plastic clips that cover up all these holes when they paint the bay, and they'll never put them back in. And I just like to cover them up because it creates a more professional look. It cleans up the bay, makes it look a little more OEM. A lot of dust and dirt gets kicked up in this wheel well, and any of these holes that I can close up will help keep the bay cleaner longer, keep the debris out of the bay. I'm going to go ahead and start plugging up some of these holes that I know I'm not going to use. Alright, so I got this rubber grommet assortment set off Amazon. I'll leave a link to this in the description below. I use these on like holes on the firewall where I need to pass through a wire. I can like poke a hole or cut a slit in this and pass the wire through and not worry about like sharp metal rubbing on the wiring. I'm also going to be using these to kind of clean up the engine bay a little bit, plug a lot of these open holes. I'm using these plastic clips to cover some of the holes, but for other places those rubber grommets actually do a pretty good job covering up these holes as well. This is just kind of personal preference. I think it's got kind of like a nice OEM look to it. I'd rather have these here than just a hole. So I'm gonna go through, keep covering up some of these holes. Alright, so it's a little later on. I got a lot of these holes plugged up. Originally I was actually planning on using like mostly these plastic grommets, like what's in there from factory for plugging up a lot of the holes in the bay here. But I actually found that these rubber grommets were a lot easier to install, and I think they look a lot better too. I plugged as many holes as I could here. So I can't show you all the holes I plugged. A lot of them are like on these strut towers and along the frame rail and stuff, and around these corners. I can try to show you the ones around the corners, but as you can see here on the radiator support, these are all those rubber grommets. Some of these holes I didn't plug because they're actually used for mounting on my air diversion plate. Look. I still want to find some plugs for these M6 holes. I haven't found anything that really looks very good yet, but I will find a plug for these M6 holes and these smaller holes as well. But you can see I did a couple of them here, but I would really love to be able to plug up all these threaded M6 holes. You you can kind of see the plugs there. There's a couple plugs up in there, around there. And I plugged up some holes along the side of the strut tower here. A lot of holes are plugged up on the frame rail, but you can't really see that. And again, this is to seal up the engine bay, but also just to add that small touch. Stuff like this really goes a long ways. I'm gonna flip you guys upside down here, and you can see, again, for some of these square holes I still use those plastic clips, but I really like the way these rubber grommets ended up sealing everything up. So again, I'm going to leave a link to these in the description below. These things are actually really good quality. I suppose the next thing I can try and tackle is going to be the catch can. This is my catch can. It's a Vibrant catch can. I really like this thing. It looks good. It kind of matches the whole color scheme of the engine bay, you know, silver black. Originally, I had this thing mounted up pretty much like that, and I was honestly never really too happy about this. It was just through bolted through this pinch weld here, like so. It kind of rubbed the intake manifold, rubbed the AC line, and it always just felt kind of cramped and out of place there. The lines ran like this, and then this line ran over here and then connected there. I really don't want to do this again. I was actually thinking of going further over here. It still just doesn't feel right, you know. It's really close to the manifold. Everything feels super congested over here. So my next idea is to move it up here like this. And I actually it would be more like this. So I actually really like this idea. One main problem is that these 90-degree fittings won't fit here like this. So to remedy this, I'd have to drill a hole right here large enough to fit this can, and then have it sort of like recess down, which wouldn't be horrible. You know, I can clean up the edge with this trim, and I think it'll still look really good. And honestly, it'll protrude the bottom out here, so I'll be able to get underneath it and sort of drain the catch can on the fly. I think this spot's really nice because it sort of like fills in this corner, which is pretty empty as it is. Yeah, so there's not a whole lot going on in this corner, and back here it's just really like cramped. So I think having this catch can here like this, like I said, drilling a hole here, recessing it down, and then maybe getting like some compact 90s here. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Do you think this would be a good spot for it? I think this would be a really good idea. I'd be willing to buy some more dash 10 and make longer lines to fit it here. I think it just sort of, it seems really at home here, honestly. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, or if you have any other ideas of where I might be able to put this thing. But honestly, right now, this is looking pretty spot on to me. Like, that's my main concern, is having lines that are way too long. I think they might end up looking tacky, or they might end up looking really cool. I don't know. But I think if they're done right, if I have a line running here and a line running here, I think it could end up looking really cool. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are about this. I can't really put it here. There's limited space when the intake's in, and it would just be a little more awkward with the fittings, because then I'd have to do like a 180, or I'd have to do a line that comes here, and I just don't think it would look nearly as natural as having it in this corner. I think it's actually right at home right here. I think I'm going to film a little bit more for this one tomorrow, get a couple more things installed. I was planning on doing the catch can right now, but after seeing how it's going to fit and knowing that I just wouldn't be happy with it where it's at, I think it's going to be worth waiting and getting some longer dash 10 lines and putting it in that corner. I think That is going to work really well for it. I'm going to call it quits for tonight, guys. I'll get back with you tomorrow. Alright guys, we're back. It's the next day. Yesterday I mentioned that I wanted to try to secure this wire a little better. You can see it's just sort of flapping around. I don't want it to fall down or anything like that. So I want to try to secure it right here on top of the frame rail. For that, I'm going to be using this little zip tie adhesive mount. You can see the zip tie just sort of like slides right through it like so. It's got some double-sided sticky tape. This stuff is good for securing like some light wiring work. I wouldn't use it on anything too heavy like this wiring harness, for example. Nothing like this thick or heavy, but for just a couple wires running through, if you have a nice clean surface, these mounts actually work really well. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in, get that wire secured. I'll leave a link to these in the description below if you guys are interested. So you can just barely see it. I got the mount down there. So now all I gotta do is run the zip tie through and secure that wire. The zip tie mount is down there. Got the wire zip tied, and it just you know, these things are just quick and easy, and they look fairly clean, and it's a good way to organize your wiring. Just you know, real quick, throw it on and you're done. We talked a little bit yesterday about my plans for the catch can. I want to get your guys' opinions on that, but until I get that figured out, the catch can's just gonna have to sit. One thing I really do need to sort out is the brake lines. I use a brake line relocation kit that's similar to like the Chase Base kit. It runs the brake lines underneath the engine, sort of tucks them up out of the way. So yeah, I suppose I can go ahead and knock out these brake lines. They use like some banjo bolts to connect here, and they go straight down, which is really nice because it keeps the lines a little bit further away from the turbo, as opposed to if they were to go like straight out and up like the stock lines do. I guess I'll grab those lines and start figuring out how I'm gonna route them. Last time I had them going underneath the motor, right along the subframe, zip tied to the subframe, and right across to the other side. I'm probably going to do it the same way this time around. I guess that's one thing I can go ahead and tackle. Get the brake lines out of the way. That'll get us a step closer to having this engine bay finished up. Alright, so the brake lines are still attached to the calipers. You can see this one right here with the banjo fitting. This side's really short because it just goes right through the wheel well here and straight into the brake booster, or the brake master cylinder rather. This side is quite a bit longer, but as you can see, it's the same fitting. So this side needs to go again through the wheel well, but this one goes along the front subframe all the way to the brake master on the other side. The third line goes also along the subframe and connects to the rear brake line here. That one's still attached to the old car. This is it right here. I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt this and bolt it up to the new car. Alright, so as you can see, I got the brake lines all hooked up. They are routed on this side as well. I know it's kind of impossible to tell what's going on down there, but there's a nice rubber grommet coming through the bottom of the strut tower there. Same thing on this side. One thing I've sort of run into here is I was going to test fit my heat shield here. I could possibly clear this pipe. It would be really close, but it would probably still fit. My main concern here is, again, I talked to you guys about this last time, this dump tube. It's just, it doesn't fit as is. It rubs against the brake booster. I don't want to modify the pipe, because even if I do make it fit, it'll still be just extremely close to that brake booster. So I think before I go any further, I'm gonna have to pull this brake booster out, clean up my old one, and throw it in there. I think eventually I will be replacing this one with a brand new one, but for now I just need to get one in there that fits, one that'll allow me to keep on going. I want to be able to install the dump tube and turbo elbow and AC line and finish up basically this whole area right here. But in order to do that, this brake booster is kind of stopping me. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this brake booster out, throw in my old one, and try to get this corner as sorted out as I possibly can. So I actually cleaned up my old brake booster, put some spray paint on it. So as you guys can already see, that's such a massive difference. The amount of room I have here now between the wastegate and the booster, between the brake master and the intercooler coupler here. I've got so much more room for my lines and everything, and we can go ahead and get these lines back in, and I can get my heat shield installed, and we'll be that much closer to getting this side all sorted out. Alright, so we got the heat shield in, and I just put a little one of those rubber grommets in between the bolt and the heat shield here, kind of give it a nice gap. The gap actually looks really good. It lines up perfectly with the bracket, and yeah, it just gives it a little bit of a better look. My brake lines here, they're kind of running a little bit closer to the, they're a little close to the exhaust manifold, a little close for comfort for sure. Before I had like a heat shield sleeve that I had over them, but the sleeve kind of fell apart over time, so I'm gonna try something a little different. I've got this piece of exhaust strap here, and I think what I'm actually going to do is fold the two pieces over like this, and maybe do some staples along the edges here to try to create a sleeve. Alright, so this is what I came up with. Basically, I just stapled two pieces of heat wrap together to create a sleeve. I know I probably could have just bought a sleeve, but hey, there's nothing wrong with improvising sometimes, especially if you don't have any money. But I'm gonna take off these brake lines for the last time, hopefully. Slide the sleeve on. So I'm just gonna try to slip this on and see how it goes. Oh yeah, that's perfect. I think that will definitely protect my brake lines. The brake lines are now officially bolted on, heat shield's in, and I got my little sleeve down there protecting my brake lines. It's kind of hard to show you guys, but there it is, and I'm confident my brake lines won't melt, so we are looking good. I would put my dump tube in, but unfortunately I still have to get a turbo elbow. So not having a turbo elbow is stopping me from getting the dump tube in and the last AC line in as well. When I do get one and it's time for me to install it, I'll probably have to remove this heat shield one last time, but it's super easy. It's just 2 bolts. So yeah, I guess I'm sort of at a standstill on this corner. Done everything I can for now. This corner at this point is kind of all hinging on me getting a downpipe for it. This side, I still need to do fuel lines, catch can, the battery cable, the main power cable going to the back of the car. So yeah, I accomplished quite a bit today. Just a quick recap, we did the brake lines, we swapped the brake booster out, fitted up the heat shield, test fit a few other things, one step closer to getting this engine bay sorted out. But yeah, I think that's gonna just about finish things up for me tonight. So thanks for stopping by, thanks for watching. If you want to keep up with the build series, please subscribe and stay tuned for more content. I'll see you guys in the next one.